And that's when he was saying, like you've met him, right? My new accountant that I have.
Yeah, the one who starts every conversation with Heil.
He's the real lonely type. He goes to the AA meetings just to have someone to talk to. You know, that kind of lonely older type.
Yeah, I've seen him there 5 times.
Yeah, well, anyway, I opened that. I have that new accountant because I opened up that new retirement accounts that I have, and boy, I feel like it's just so comforting to open up Fortune magazine and read that my accountant is one of the richest people in the state. It's like, gosh, I'd like to see some of those returns, right? I feel like part of your investment returns goes to the accountant, and then the rest of them goes to the IRS. Am I right?
Never had it.
This is stuff I didn't have to worry about in my early 20s, but 30 is fast approaching. I'm like, gosh, I gotta
welcome to adulthood.
Start thinking about retirement. I don't have much in savings. Adult being. Oh, hello! I didn't see you there. Yeah, welcome in. Thank you for joining us once again for the 126th episode of the Drunk Doctor Who podcast, wherein we discuss the
126th serial of Doctor Who, or story of Doctor Who, Mawdryn Undead.
Oh, I wrote down Mawdryn Undead.
So, Peter Davison, 5th Doctor, we're actually right smack dab in the middle of his run. This is in the middle of his second of 3 seasons, season 20 for the classic stuff. And this is the DVD. It's not out as of yet on Blu-ray, although I never show you the Blu-rays. I'll show you the DVDs because the Blu-rays are, big, thick compilations. Anyway, 4 episodes, as most of his are.
How do you spell Turlo?
T-U-R...
I think that's right.
T-R-L-O-G-H. Yes.
Hey,
perfect.
You got it.
Right.
What was the
no.
name of the alien race?
He's a companion.
Oh, he's both.
Yeah.
Well, now he's a companion.
Okay.
But at the beginning,
he's also a companion.
Villain.
And you need to put the Brigadier.
Definitely. Yeah. Surprise.
Yes. Surprise. So we have Turlo, this ginger right here with no soul. And look, 2 Brigadiers. Ooh.
2 of them.
2 of them. All right.
So the Brigadier.
We'll explain that in a little bit.
The Brigadier's guest starring once again.
As the Brigadier.
So refilling the role as the companion. What did in the past as the Brigadier? What was the name of the alien race?
What alien race?
The ones with the brains coming out.
No, they never say.
They never say. Okay.
They never say. It's.
I'll just write aliens.
Well, Black Guardian. He was one.
Another big reveal. The Black Guardian's back.
Yes,
Yay.
Black Guardian's back. So we have the Black Guardian come back. We have Brigadier come back, and we have the addition to the TARDIS, i.e., more or less replacing Adric, of Turlo, who's a real Hanyak, actually.
That's how nice my spelling is when I'm not drunk.
So
is the Black Guardian on our heroes and villains list as a reoccurring villain now? Have we done a Black Guardian episode?
Wait, let's look.
I'm going to re-add the Black Guardian if we haven't done him already in a heroes and villains.
I believe we have, because I knew he came up again. Let's see.
Do you want to do a follow-up?
Davros, Zygon, Sullivan, Leela. What are you doing?
I'm writing him on our heroes and villains board.
Oh, hold on, let me check.
The one that's off camera.
Sergeant Brigadier, Joe Grant, Smith, Altamont, Silurians.
I don't remember the Black Guardians.
Master, Sea Devils, Omega, Centaurans, Harry Sullivan, Leela, Davros, Zygons.
This is welcome to Doctor Who.
Sutek and
ASMR.
Black Guardian.
This is our.
Wait, what are you doing with the camera? Get over here.
I'm doing Drunk Doctor Who ASMR. Check this out. This is our heroes and villains board.
Yeah.
Just to keep you updated. All right. That concludes our ASMR portion of the podcast.
You messed up the framing.
No, it's perfect. I know how the framing is supposed to work. There's the line right here.
Closer.
No, that's great. It cut off the doctor on the top if it's any closer.
No. I had it closer and it had everything.
There, I zoomed it in.
All right. You sit down. I will.
Here, it's a line. It's a line with the doctor on the top and the line right here. So I
had it perfect. You don't move the camera after I said it.
Matt are so defensive about the camera position?
Well, I want everything to be seen.
I just wanted to show them our heroes and villains board.
Yeah. I'm not a fan.
Don't be mad at me.
Not a fan.
Not a fan. Were you not a fan of when I give them updates on the chessboard? Is that why we stopped playing chess?
Well, yeah, that I already beat you. All right.
Okay, no rematch, no challenge to the title belt. I see.
What?
Wait, what was all that you wrote off screen?
You wrote that. That's in your hand. It was in your hand. Okay. Back to the podcast. All right.
My sober handwriting or my...
Dude, at the moment you are not driving anywhere. Okay. What are we drinking today? I'm Hatter. This is Holden.
Who?
Welcome to the podcast.
What happened to I'm Ryan Reynolds. I used to introduce myself as a different hot celebrity every week.
Nobody believed it.
I missed that trend. It was funny.
All right.
Oh, the non sequitur were jokes from what's his name? Bateman. The book
Justin Bateman.
No, the book you have on
Uncle Milty.
Yeah, Milton Berle. Those jokes were from Milton Berle.
Okay.
The accountant jokes.
All right. So, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking White Claw Seltzer, natural lime. Trying to stave off the beer belly, and my doctor also said too many carbs.
Yeah, I'm drinking Russian Standard, my standard vodka.
Yeah, that has no carbs. This is low carbs. That's no carbs.
Technically, you're
so
correct.
You're making the healthier decision out of the two of us. I mean, I guess it depends on the volume.
I'll roll with it, you know.
All right. How's that doctor's checkup coming along?
What doctor's check?
I don't know.
My wife won't me get a doctor's check. All right. Anyway, so today's cereal, Mawdryn Undead.
That's today.
Today's 31st of July.
When did
2023. It aired February 1st, 1983 to February 9th, 1983. Companions are Nissa and Tegan. We also pick up Turlo. He's a companion from now on. And a special scenario by the Brigadier. Times two. The antagonists are Turlo, yes. He's working with and for the Doctor. Some weird aliens that are never actually really defined at all.
They weren't listed in the credits.
They're barely given the name, Mawdryn. He's the only one with the name.
It's just Mawdryn.
Yeah. The rest of them don't even get that. And then the Black Guardian shows back up.
Hey, so a lot of exciting recurring villains, a few new faces with a new villain, a new companion.
And an old companion.
A lot of recurring characters with the Black Guardian and the Brigadier times two. So at home, please jump along with us in our TARDIS here of a podcast as we travel back in time to 1983 and discuss the first episode of Mawdryn Undead.
I realize I'm like 11 serials behind.
We need to catch up on the dates.
Catch up on it, yeah.
Me too.
When we're sober, so.
I don't ever shoot on the dates on here.
Alright. So anyway.
Well, you surprised me on how shocked you are after you knocked a few back.
Really?
I was like, alright, well, this is the season finale, and I guess we'll vote on our season favorite next week. And you're like, I already have it on the board.
I was writing it out.
It's just off the top of your head. You're like, I know all. Well, you're so sharp.
Thank you.
If I had a few glasses of vodka, I would not be able to just think of that off. Let me see. Yeah, this season or these
drinks. Yeah. All right. Okay. Anyway,
you're very Hemingway-esque.
Oh, wait. Was he fat?
No, what he did was he would get drunk and then just write the most fantastic novels because he's so sharp when he's under the influence.
Oh, that's like the poem Xanadu.
He was the kind of person that when he got drunk he couldn't tell it because he came from this long line of drinkers, kind of like a Cajun would.
Yeah, exactly.
Where like he'd throw so many back and then you couldn't tell that he wasn't completely sober.
You know the poem Xanadu, right?
No, I don't know that one. I love poems.
Okay,
though.
so there. I can't remember the name of the poet.
Can you recite it?
I can recite a bit of it. Yeah.
If you can, I'll snap for you.
Don't snap.
Okay.
In Xanadu did Kubla Khan a stately pleasure dome decree, where Alf the sacred river ran through caverns measureless to man, down to a sunless sea. So twice 5 miles they did go, and that's where I start fading out on that.
Is Xanadu, was that a real place located in like modern day Africa?
It's a theoretical place.
Like the Garden of Eden.
No, Garden of Eden was real.
It sounds like a country that would be in Africa.
But it's like Shangri-La, okay?
Oh.
So anyway, there was a poet who knocked back some opium or something. Started writing, and he wrote like 300 lines of this poem, and it was amazing. And then an old friend knocks on the door, and out of politeness, he invites the old friend in, and the old friend stayed so long that he came down off the high, and then he looked at what he wrote, and he was never able to finish the poem because he was never in the same mind state.
He didn't just throw back a few more opioids and...
Well, no, he was never able to get in that same mind state.
Inventing his paradise.
Anyway, it's a classic.
I feel like that's the plague of the artist is the writer's block. It's like, no matter how many like drugs I take, I can't.
Everyone needs a muse.
I can't get past my writer's block for this poem.
Right. So anyway, this particular serial really starts the beginning of some of the strange portion of Doctor Who. Although Snake Dance kind of actually started it.
Oh yeah, that one was pretty wacky.
Snake Dance was wacky.
That Xanadu poet, he sounds like I forgot where it's going with this. I think that's how religions are created.
Actually, I think Arc of Infinity. The beginning of the season is the beginning of the weird arc of Doctor Who, where it starts to get strange.
Do they get a new show writer, or why does that happen, you think?
No.
Or the current show writer just got a little kooky till you get bored, and it's like, this would be a fun
It's not really
arc.
show writers. The John Nathan Turner, the producer, is a producer for a while.
They're script
but
writers.
it's just things start getting weird.
Do you think he got busy and he just stopped paying so much attention to the script writers, and they're just like, hey, no one's watching, we can... we can...
Well, in some ways, yeah, but these last 7 seasons are all strange.
7 seasons, wow.
Well, we're in season 20, then 21, then 22 and 23 are the next Doctor, the 6th Doctor, 24, 25, 26 are the 7th Doctor.
So, man, those script writers were left unsupervised for a while. 7 seasons.
Well, Uncle Terry was there.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I guess he liked the kooky stuff.
He was good. I like him.
Terry Dix. Terrence Dix.
Uncle Terry.
Wait,
Right.
he was the producer?
No, he was
the showrunner.
No, he was the script editor.
Oh, okay. So he was to blame.
Terrence Dix, yeah.
Terrence Dix.
He was the script editor for a long time for Doctor Who. Jonathan Nathan Turner was the producer.
Is it really like Terrence Richard?
No, it's Terrence Dix.
I think I changed that last name.
Why? It's a common last name.
If your last name was Richardson, would you shorten that to Dixon?
There is a surname, Dixon, Dixon.
Is that not short for Richardson?
No, it's just Dixon, Dixon.
Because we abbreviate Richard with Dick, so I thought Richardson would be Dixon.
You know that...
I think that's the origin of that last name, I bet.
You know, Cox is a last name, C-O-X.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean...
There's this TV show called Scrubs about doctors, and there's this one doctor called Dr. Cox. And they're gossiping about him on their lunch break, and the janitor walks up and he's like, "What are you guys talking about?" Where they're like, "Oh, we're just talking about Cox." He's like, "All right."
The tall guy's the janitor, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
From what is he on? Modern Family.
I don't know.
He's so funny. I think he's such a funny actor.
Okay. Back to the episodes. Back to the serial.
Back to the future, to the past.
Okay.
The future again.
All right. So anyway. It starts off without the Doctor
on the Hippo
and the
and
companions.
Turbo.
It starts off at a boys' boarding school in England, beautiful countryside, back in the 1983, and you have this young ginger Turlo who seems incredibly, what's the word for it? Antagonistic, just a real Hanyak.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get
a
in
little Loki kind of like,
chaotic.
Chaotically mischievous and sly.
A rake.
Yeah, and his friend Hippo, which is apparently it's not his real name. It's this thing that I can't read.
Let me see. What was his real name?
Dotson. Ibbotson. Ibbotson was his name.
Ibbotson.
Yeah.
So Hippo is short for Ibbotson?
No, that's his fraternity nickname,
okay,
like the
right.
Doctor's Beta Sigma.
Yeah, I thought it might have been short for Hippocrates or something.
Right, yeah.
Anyway.
That's an intense name.
Hippocrates?
Yeah. Were people really named Hippocrates in
The
1983?
Hippocratic Oath?
Yeah, I think that name's fallen out of fashion.
Well, yeah, but you'd still
For
be
the
named
past
it.
200 years.
Well, past 2,000 years. But you'd still be named it.
Yeah, I've never met one. But yeah, theoretically.
And my name's Theophile.
You could
And how many
still-
Theophiles have you met?
Theoretically, you could still meet Maximus Gluteus, but I don't think they exist. But it is a name.
Alright, so anyway, Turlo takes his sidekick, Hippo, throws him into the car, this amazing, gorgeous car, which happens to belong to the Brigadier, we find out.
Oh, I thought it was the Headmaster's. This is Brigadier's.
Brigadier's, yeah.
Nice car.
They take it for a ride, and...
You think he was showing up the Doctor's Betsy? He's like, I'm retiring. I'm going to get a nice automobile.
Oh gosh, it's such a nice car. And they drive it down the road, and they keep going, and they keep going, and they keep going, and eventually they're talking, and a vehicle shows up in front of them, and they crash. Then...
The milk truck, was it?
It was something like that, a lorry of some kind. And then there's this weird 1990s TV show, greedy, weird effect. And Turlo, that kind of effect of, am I going to heaven? Am I going to hell?
Influenced.
Yeah. And then you have the Black Guardian show up. Yay, Black Guardian's back.
Cool.
He shows up a couple more times.
Didn't have an effect on Hippo, because I think he was unconscious at this point.
Turlo was just sleeping. But the Black Guardian shows up a couple more times, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask my standard end of the episode question.
Does he show up again?
Does he show up again?
Yes, he does. He
'Cause it
shows
really-
up 2 or 3 more times.
Yeah, it left a cliffhanger, and it really, I was guessing that he's going to probably be like a reoccurring character as he's trying to mess with the Doctor. And
Only for this Doctor. He doesn't show up after this Doctor.
yeah, so... But that last appearance, we don't get like a decisive conclusion of the Black Guardian. Do you think he might show up in the future?
Well, he could. I mean, supposedly we're bringing back the Celestial Toy Maker from the first Doctor to the 14th. You know?
Right, so it's always possible. So they don't kind of like defeat him with his last appearance? It's
The
left
Guardians are
open-ended.
supposedly immortal.
Immortal. So that's what I wanted to talk about was the Black Guardian's sort of skill set. Because it says he has this, he's one of the most powerful beings in the cosmos, right? He has this cosmic influence over things.
To balance out the stuff with the White Guardian, yes.
Yeah, so his mind control kind of sucks, for being the most...
He doesn't really have mind control. He has persuasion, like, I will kill you, but he doesn't really have mind control.
So I wanted to kind of ask what do you think the nature of his influence over the mind is? Is that just like a passive effect that he showed up, he pulled the TARDIS in, he just passively influenced this person against the Doctor and made the Brigadier forget who the Doctor was?
He
Or
did
was
not
that-
make the Brigadier forget.
Right, so if it's not that, I think the Black Guardian is not really as big and scary as they
Well, he's
want
not.
to
He's
be.
just trying to cause chaos in the universe while the White Guardian is trying to, go with order.
So-
And it's always a continuous chess match balance. But we've already seen that.
So you would say that the
We will see more of that later, because we do actually see the White Guardian later.
oh great.
Yeah.
So you would suggest that Black Guardian's power is kind of waning in this situation because he's not making a direct influence. He's just off in the cosmos of space, kind of influencing some chaos here and there. He's not directly trying to defeat the Doctor as his nemesis.
He's just fairly impotent.
Was he? So he referred to the Doctor's nemesis. Was he talking to this alien race, or was he
No, the
talking about
Doctor.
himself? Is he the Doctor's nemesis? Or
No, he believes the Doctor is his nemesis.
Ah.
Like
He said the Doctor was going to be destroyed by his nemesis. He's referring to
no,
himself.
he's saying, you will see my nemesis destroyed.
He referred to the Doctor's nemesis.
I don't think so.
Do you remember the Bet We Made Last podcast?
No, what was
I
it?
feel like I'm going to roll. I think I'm going to lose that one, but I know I'm
What
going to
was
win
the
this one.
last one?
Well, let's make this bet and I'll catch you up.
I'm
on
not
last
100% sure on this bet, so...
It was the Doctor's nemesis, and I just didn't know if he was referring to himself or the aliens, but he referred to the Doctor's nemesis. The previous bet is one I'm not going to win, so you'll just have to watch the last podcast.
I'm still catching up from vacation on my audio podcasts.
We made a bet if the fortune teller was carried out or walked out of the tent after. Do you remember that?
Now I do.
Okay.
You thought carried out. I said walked out.
It was
walked out. Yeah.
It was carried out. We haven't checked yet.
Yeah. By the way you're talking, I'm correct.
I'm less confident, but I'm very confident in this Doctor's Nemesis one.
And I'm not as such, so I'm declining.
Okay.
I only bet when I'm pretty darn sure I'll win.
What if we make it interesting? Double or nothing?
For what?
Whatever you want, double. Whatever I want. I want it. What's more interesting than a handle? I feel like we always do that.
We do.
How about you give me 2 of your foreign coins that you have?
Foreign coins. I have some euros.
2. Are those pirate coins you keep in your dining room reel, or what are those? I thought they were like little 3D printed ones, and I touch one, it's real metal. I'm like, oh, that's neat.
It is.
Are those real coins, or are those?
They're not currency, but there are minted coins.
Did you get those from the Renaissance Festival?
Well, no, but you can get them at the Renaissance Festival.
Oh. Right. I'll bet you a couple of cold metal coins to 2 half handles.
I'm good.
All right, next time.
Anyway, so Turlo wrecks the car, and he and what's his name? Iggy Maboop? Hippo. All right. Iverson. They're lying on the ground, and he goes in the little 90s screen thingy, and the Black Guardian shows up, says,
"I am the Black Guardian."
And he's like,
"Fear me." Something to
the guy's wearing this black outfit. He's got this weird little bird on his head.
Yeah, like a sparrow cap.
And or a raven, I think.
Yeah.
And he's like,
it had a pretty small beak.
He's like, raven. And Turlo's like, do you want to live or do you want to die? And Turlo's like, well, I hate Earth. I just want to get off of Earth. Which
sparrow?
No. Well, he's like
I'm trying to make up for lost ground.
You're starting to understand this guy's not from Earth, right?
The Black Guardian?
Turlo.
Turlo's not from Earth?
He's an alien.
He is?
He kept going, I want to get off of Earth. I hate Earth. I'm trying to get back to my own world.
I thought he just didn't like Earth. I didn't know he was an alien.
He's an alien.
I just thought once he found out that they're aliens, What? Our fact checker's timing in. So
the peanut gallery was
before we covered the first episode, we spoiled it. Turlo was an alien. We spoiled the Brigadier's back and the Black Guardian.
And Turlo's a companion, and the Black Guardian did. Yeah.
And we spoiled everything just to get it out of the way.
All right, you can stop watching that.
We'll see you next week.
All right. Anyway, so
episode 1 continues.
So Black Guardian's like, I can get you off of Earth if you want. And Turlo's like, oh, okay, I'll do anything off Earth. I hate Earth. And the Black Guardian's like, you have to kill the Doctor. The Doctor's evil. Turlo's like, okay, I'll kill the Doctor. Yes. Then Turlo pops back into his body. In the meantime...
it was a really weird... It was Freddy Krueger when he invaded his dream.
Well,
and then Turlo, to get out of the invaded dream nightmare, he goes and his dream self lays back on top of his actual self in bed.
That's later. That's the next.
Oh, I thought that was right. Oh,
no.
So this first influence was just in passing. It wasn't during his dream.
Correct. It was that little green screen thing.
Yeah.
All right. So in the meantime, the Doctor.
I'm just kidding.
The Doctor, Nyssa and Tegan.
I'm gonna start betting every time we have a disagreement on anything.
Okay, we have to keep track of that on the whiteboard.
I'm gonna lose a lot.
Okay, so Nyssa shows up in a new outfit, finally.
She does, yeah. I thought she got a haircut, but no, it's just a really different outfit with
the gray with the kind of short.
Yeah, it was a really nice color, like a pastel color theme.
It was nice.
I do have one. Monkeys, given enough time, can type the entirety of a Shakespeare.
No. Well, I mean, in theory, yes. In reality, no.
Well, given an infinite time scale, yes, in reality.
It's going to be a 3-hour podcast. Okay. Anyway, so...
I tried to get most of my rants done before we came in here.
It didn't work.
It didn't work. There's always more questions.
Right, so anyway, Tegan is freaking out, as she always does. And she's like, am I done with the Mara? Can I get past the Mara? And the doctor's like, yes, the Mara are now trapped in this thing. You don't have to worry about the Mara. She's like, well, I really hope so. Nissa comes in. Well, I hope we're all done with the Mara. And she's in her new cute outfit. And then Tegan's like, oh, I want to go home. I want to go back to Earth. Dad's like, okay, I'll take you back to Earth. She's like, I just want to be surrounded by something familiar, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then the doctor tries to get back to Earth, and then they get caught up in some sort of temporal warp because there's something stuck in space, both in time and space, that's interfering with their temporal warp drive.
It was Tegan asking, or saying she wanted something familiar to go back to Earth?
Yeah, she wanted to be surrounded by familiar things. She didn't want to leave the TARDIS permanently, but she wanted some time.
She just didn't want her life to be put in danger for a serial.
No.
Which didn't work because her life was still very much in danger on Earth.
So anyway, they go back to Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're trying to go back to Earth. They get stuck in that temporal warp. What was it called?
Scissors beat what?
Scissors beat paper.
Oh.
Scissors beat paper. So they get stuck in the warp parabola or something.
Yeah, it's separate from the capsule. Was like this other antechamber temple walkway kind of building.
Okay, so Doctor's like, okay, we're about to collide with this ship. Let me try to materialize on the ship, which he does. And they're walking around the ship, and it's a pretty fancy ship.
Yeah.
It looks like a nice cruise ship.
Looks like the Wynn Hotel,
yeah.
which we did not film a podcast in.
We're so stuck on that fact. And the Doctor...
I'm agreeing with you. We never went there or got permission to film a podcast in the hotel.
We did okay there. Right. Anyway.
Thus, I've fulfilled my legal obligation to deny that we ever filmed a commercial product on the premises of the Wynn Hotel.
This is a commercial product. You really think we sell commercials during this?
Oh, we wouldn't monetize this if we had, 10,000 more followers than we do now.
We have 40. Okay. Anyway, so...
so it's not a commercial product.
The TARDIS lands on the ship. They walk out. They're looking around. And she's like, oh, it's like the Queen Mary, Tegan says. And after a while, they're walking around. There's nobody. It's like, oh, it's more like the Queen Mary Celeste. Sorry, she just says Mary Celeste. Queen Mary Celeste would have been a better line. But she just says Mary
because
Celeste.
It was also named after Queen Mary.
Well, no, because it would have combined the two lines.
Ah.
But the Mary Celeste was an actual ship.
But was that named after a queen? Because that would make combining them.
But it would have been nice to combine all that. Yeah.
It was witty.
So anyway, the Doctor is wandering around with Tegan and Nissa. They're just trying to figure out what's on the ship, and then they find a terminal, a transport module.
Yeah, kind of like the TARDIS. Oh, you're talking about the capsule part, or the control panel part. Yeah, they find a capsule, as they call it.
Mm-hmm.
It's different than an American. What's it called?
Well, a capsule.
There you go.
It can work for both.
No, the British is a capsule. It's different.
Oh, not capsule. Capsule.
Capsule.
Anyway, so eventually the Doctor, Tegan, and Nissa take the TARDIS, go down to the planet, and the Doctor looks around, and they eventually wind up going to the school.
Yeah, the boarding school, yeah.
Right, well, they go there, and then they bump into the Brigadier.
Yeah.
The Brigadier doesn't know who the Doctor is because he's regenerated.
But he does still recognized the title of brigadier, which begs the question: was he never promoted?
Not from brigadier.
No.
He hit brigadier and he stayed.
And he
was
retired.
He was originally colonel.
Yeah.
But brigadier is where he was for most of his career.
And then he retired as a brigadier.
Yes.
Got a full pension, retirement, but he decided that would be too boring is to retire. So then that's why he's now at the boarding school as a...
Right. Teaching the kids at the school because he says he could, plant vegetables and shrivel up and die in 12 months, or he could teach, and he enjoys teaching.
Exactly. That's my retirement plan, is when I retire, and I probably will not have saved enough to retire, I'll get like a weekend job. Or, if you study while you're working on your career on like a subject that you can use as a backup career once you retire. Like if I spend my whole 30 years working studying history, I can retire and try and be a history teacher. But I won't have a degree. Maybe I'll be a preacher. That way I can only work on the weekends. That'd be a great retirement career.
No, you still work all week as a preacher.
No, if I write my sermons now, then I'll only need to work on
you start
Sundays.
working on your sermons.
Yeah, I'll have 30 years to work on them, and then I'll have a whole list to go through in my retirement years. That'd be an easy job.
Oh my gosh. So Turlough's taken to the infirmary. He wakes up and the Black Guardian tells him he has to kill the doctor, and he will kill the doctor. He's like, but I don't want to. And he's like, no, you must kill the doctor. You will do my will. And eventually...
Yeah, meanwhile, the doctor's outside messing with this popcorn box that was hidden inside of a fake rock that he was...
Yeah, I was going to say, Turlough gets away, and Turlough...
He's sneaking up on the doctor as he's messing with this little thing, right?
Yeah, well, there's a bit more in there. But
what happens before that?
Turlough managed to escape from the infirmary.
Mm-hmm.
And then Turlough...
Tying the bed sheets together, right?
That's later.
Ah.
This is the first time he escapes from the infirmary. He just leaves.
Oh, we're still on episode 1.
Yes, we are.
All right, so what happened? All
right, so Turlough gets away. What's his name? Ignoramus?
Who? Hippo?
Hippo, yeah.
Who's Ignoramus?
Wait, what's his last name? Ibbotson. So Turlough runs away. Ibbotson follows him. Turlough gets told...
Ignoramus.
Turlough gets told...
That's a good substitute.
by the Black Guardian to activate, by pushing the bottom of this one particular pillar, to activate the capsule.
Really intuitive stuff. Like, he didn't even need to
So he goes in the capsule. He winds up on the spaceship up in space. Like I said, there's a lot happening in this. It would have been 6 episodes in older Who.
Mm-hmm.
A lot going on. So he ends up there.
Don't worry, it sounds like the writers are getting more freedom to do weird stuff. So maybe we'll see another 6
So then the Doctor, Nyssa, and Tegan are wandering around the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Turlough goes into the TARDIS because he knows what a TARDIS is. Once again, he's an alien.
Mm-hmm.
Spoilers. And he's messing with stuff. The Doctor just said he can go back into the TARDIS, and the Doctor's like, "Who are you?" And I'm Turlough.
Who are you?
Yeah, and Nyssa and Tegan show up. And the Doctor's like,
he's just standing there messing with the control panel. He's like, "Oh, I'm Turlough," and they're like,
they're
okay.
on opposite sides of the control panel. And the Doctor like looks up, and Turlough looks up like, "Ooh."
Who I've been looking for.
Anyway, so the Doctor decides to go back down to Earth, and Turlough is like adamant about going with him.
Yes, because he wants to kill him.
Right. The Doctor said, well, they've got to disable...
a great companion introduction.
Turlough's companion is problematic throughout.
Could you imagine if Abraham...
Problematic throughout.
He's problematic.
Mm-hmm.
I could have guessed. Could you imagine if Abraham Lincoln, right, was a Time Lord? And who's the guy that assassinated him?
The guy that assassinated Lincoln?
Yeah.
John Wilkes Booth?
Alright, so Abraham Lincoln is a Time Lord, right? John Wilkes Booth tries to assassinate him, instead ends up becoming his companion. Would that be awkward? I think that would be fairly awkward.
Sounds like a good bad movie.
I think Turlough's an awkward companion.
He is. He's very awkward. The way through his run.
I feel like most companions end up trying to kill the Doctor.
No.
Not even needing to be possessed. Like, some of them just don't like him. Like, Tegan at this point, even without being possessed, I feel like she would be like, eh.
Alright. Turlough does, and later on...
So many companions have tried to kill the Doctor after being mind controlled.
Clara does.
Like, every single episode with the Master was
mind
control.
There's lots of Master mind control where they try to kill him, like Joe Grant and stuff like that, but we're talking of their own free will. Anyway, the Doctor and Turlough go down to the surface where the Doctor is trying to fix the beacon, and they go down the capsules. They fix the beacon so the TARDIS can come down from the ship.
Have you tried this? Did you like it?
Yeah, I tried it just a few minutes ago.
Did you like it?
It was alright, yeah.
Yeah, kind of like Sprite, right? But no sugars, right?
Yeah, actually, you're right, kind of like Sprite.
This is my favorite flavor. Not all of them are that good, but the lime's pretty good.
Agreed.
The rest are like LaCroix, where it's like too subtle, but this one, the lime comes through and it really adds to the flavor.
Alright.
What I want to do is I want to start bringing a new drink to the podcast every week. I'll be making like different weird mixed drinks. I'll be like, this week I'm drinking the Darth Vader. It's like the Kahlua and the...
I'm mostly sticking with my standards.
Okay.
As in Russian standards.
If I made you a keto-friendly drink every week, would you not experiment with me?
I would at least try.
Yeah. Well, we should start drink experiments every week. I'll go
next
shopping.
week, sure.
I'll hit up Specs next week. That sounds like fun. So at this point, the Doctor's outside of the TARDIS. He's inspecting the capsule, right? He's
down on Earth.
Yeah.
And he's trying to get this deal to work so he can turn on. And it looks like an old AM radio.
But it was disguised in just a bunch of mud.
Well, yeah, he took it out of the pillar bit, and he removes the mud.
It was like disguised as a rock just leaning up against the pillar.
It was
kind of like how you put a spare key under the fake rock in front of your door.
Correct. In the meantime, Turlough's like, he goes into the bushes and he holds up this little crystal he has. What should I do, Black Guardian? What should I do? And Black Guardian's like, kill him. Kill him now.
This is where I start to question the Black Guardian's influence, because he's like, kill the Doctor, and Turlough's like, how? He's like, pick up a rock, and he's like,
no, he doesn't say pick up a rock.
He doesn't say it implicitly. He's like, just kill him. So he picks up a rock.
Yeah. Well, Turlough picks up the rock,
and then he misses. He drops the rock because the whole thing explodes.
Turlough's going to kill the Doctor. End of episode 1.
Well, okay, so end of episode 1. Episode
right.
2, the little console explodes.
Yes.
And Turlough accidentally drops the rock, and now he's like, gosh, now what do I do?
They both get knocked back.
Yeah. He's like, Black Guardian, how do I possibly kill the Doctor now? Well, the Black Guardian's like, pick up the rock again, you idiot.
No, he does not say that.
He should have.
He should have, but he does not say that.
It's just like, well, what do you mean? You're still trying to kill him. Figure it out. Turlough's so dumb. He's like, can I have a 3-step plan to do this?
There are 12 steps to kill the Doctor. I need a 12-step plan. Alright. In the meantime, Hippo had run all the way down after he saw Turlough disappear in the capsule.
He's quite fast for a hippo.
He runs and runs and runs, gets back to the place, finds the Brigadier, says, Turlough disappeared in a silver capsule. And the Brigadier's like, what do you mean? He could have disappeared. They go all the way back up the hill. And this hill must be a couple of miles, because it looks huge.
You got a workout.
Yeah, and
I would not run 2 miles uphill. I'd be like, he's gonna die.
Well, it's downhill, he's young, you know.
You know, what did people ever do without cell phones back in the day? If I didn't have
no cell phones, they ran down the friggin' hill. That's exactly what they did.
If I didn't have a cell phone and you were having a heart attack, I'd be like, well, God, that's a tall hill adder. I don't know.
Thank you.
I'm just so
Thank you.
Not out of meanness. I'm just so out of shape. I'd be like, Hatter, I don't think you're gonna make it. It's gonna take me 2 hours to go for help. I can't run.
Wow. Okay, I'm glad I live in the modern
age. I'm just
age.
saying, the American fitness isn't what it used to be on average.
Okay, episode 2. Wow. Anyway, so
Hippo runs up the hill.
Hippo runs up the hill. He brings Brigadier. In the meantime, Turlo's trying to get the light to show him, what should I do? Doesn't tell much. And then there's the doctor, and Turlo gets taken back by the Brigadier to the school along with Hippo, and the doctor's like, Brigadier. Yeah, the Brigadier's like, yes. He's like, Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart. No.
He's like, who are you?
Brigadier Alistair Gordon Lethbridge Stewart. He's like, yes.
Gordon Alistair.
I think it's Alistair Gordon.
I'm gonna get you one of these days. You're gonna have a few too many and you're just gonna go in for the handshake.
I have lost one wager between us.
Two.
I have lost 2 wagers between us.
Soon to be 3.
Alright.
Maybe 2.5.
So then the doctor goes down with the Brigadier, and they go back to the school because Brigadier's bringing the 2 kids, Hippo and Turlo, to get their comeuppance with the headmaster.
Uppance.
Comeuppance.
What is uppance and comeuppance?
Comeuppance means...
No, tuppence. What is a tuppence? Like in the Mary Poppins song?
Tuppence a bag?
Tuppence or 2 for the...
Tuppence was a small unit of British currency.
Oh. So that has nothing to do with comeuppance?
Not at all.
Unrelated.
Comeuppance means it's getting you just desserts. It's getting punished for what I did. Yeah.
Right. How do you know so much about British sayings?
I'm an Anglophile.
Anglophile?
Yeah.
How many times have you been to Europe?
Europe?
Yeah. And what does that have to do with fishing for anglers?
Nothing.
What does it have to do with filing anglers?
I've been at least 5 or 6 times.
Why do you file anglerfish?
I file no fish. I'm definitely allergic to fish.
You just said you're an Anglophile.
Anglophile, not anglerphile.
What kind of file? No, that's not a joke for the podcast.
Okay, we're on podcast. Here we come.
Remind me to tell you and not...
No, I'm not going to remember. And I don't want to remind you.
About files after the podcast. I'll make a note to remind.
God, no. Don't. Thank you. Do not.
Right.
So they go down, and Turlo gets put back in the infirmary where he was, from whence he escaped, and Hippo's getting admonished.
I have a question.
What?
So you're a very charismatic person, right? You're great on camera. You're great with. You're a great salesman. You own a shop. You have lots of customers. They love you because you're a very friendly, charismatic person. Do you ever find that kind of gives you a natural instinct as an actor? Do you feel like when you're entertaining, you take on a certain persona? Like when you're at the shop, you say, you have your a certain voice you put on to recite some lines, like "Find your opponent, find your tape," like a town crier kind of. Do you feel like you put on a certain sort of personality when you're in front of a camera? Like some people, they'll have this natural instinct as an actor to just kind of change how they act on camera as they go into like this performer type personality. Do you do that, or are you more natural on camera, do you think?
No!
You sound like the pirate guy from
When you have to do certain things,
You kind of startled me with that response.
you act certain ways.
I think I want to reinvent my on-camera personality.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be more stoic, and I'll play the straight man, and you'll be the...
Straight man's the hardest role.
Exactly, but my humor is all sarcasm, so if I'm able to do that with a straight face, I think it'd play off well with your
Come on, come all, come in. There's something here for everyone.
It would be funny because I'd be a very stoic, sarcastic straight man, and you're the actual straight man that...
Mostly
like,
straight man.
Yeah. Well, a little gay, man. I'm not...
Nah, a little. Whatever.
A little curious. I'm not saying we're all 100% straight.
All right. Okay.
Episode 2.
Questions for episode 1?
That was my question.
That was the question for episode 1.
For episode 1, no, we covered those questions about nicknames, the doctor's college nickname, the Brigadier's back. He was not promoted, and then also. Not a question, just a note. Great soundtrack for episode 1. As they're walking through that corridor, it starts playing this electric guitar, kind of really funky arcade music. It's like, it's just walking through a hallway. I'm like, man, I'm hyped about this hallway. They're just running around.
So episode 2, the Doctor and the Brigadier get together. The Brigadier does not remember the Doctor. The Doctor mentions unit. The Brigadier's like, you can't talk about unit. No. So they go to the Brigadier's house.
Classified. You can't go blabbing around about unit.
The Secrets Act. So they go to the Brigadier's hut, and the Doctor's like...
Is that a real thing, the Secrets Act? Or is that something you just made up?
No, it's British Secrets Act.
He said if you're a part of unit, then you have to sign the Secrets Act.
Yes.
That's like their CIA non-disclosure document or something for you.
Something like that. Classified, secret, top secret, something like that.
Do we have a name for that for American documents?
I don't know the direct correlation.
Well, it's too bad that Trump took all of those home and didn't declassify them, and now he's going to jail, right?
No,
is that what's happening?
No, it would have been Hillary or Biden.
I thought he's going to jail because he took home some documents that he didn't officially declassify.
The thing
like
is,
all the other presidents that took home documents without officially
they all do. They all do.
I'm not upset about them holding presidents to a higher legal and political standard. I just don't like that they're implementing it in a very biased way. It feels like
correct.
It's like, sure, keep presidents accountable, but why now all of a sudden?
Let's stay off of politics if we can.
Well, I was talking about classified documents.
Well, that's political. Like,
it was a very non-partisan political comment.
All right. Anyway, so Turlo, who's been now locked in his room.
Did you know that?
What?
I'm a liberal.
No.
Just for the sake of argument. I'm a libertarian. Same thing.
No.
It's half the same thing. I feel like a libertarian is more of a third party.
It is a third party.
It's more of a centrist third party that's a little liberal, a little conservative.
It's not exactly centrist, but it's definitely third party.
It's a little centrist. It's just a lot of crazy people lumped together. So you have like really liberal libertarians and really conservative libertarians. That's why Republicans and Democrats hate libertarians.
I'm gonna take a nap. I'll come back in a few weeks, and the podcast will still be going.
So episode 2 saw the Time Lord saying, "Guys, I just found out." What was he saying? The doctor said, "I just found out President Trump's going to jail."
Oh my gosh. Anyway, so the doctor realizes that Brigadier doesn't remember him. The doctor mentions Joe Grant and several other companions. Sergeant Benton, Harry Sullivan, Dr. Harry Sullivan.
All of those people.
Yeah. Sarah Jane Smith, yada, yada, yada.
We got the whole crew together.
And finally, the Brigadier starts to remember. And things come back to him. We get this interesting montage, mostly black and white.
Yeah.
He says, somebody just stepped on my grave. Oh, it must have been a Yeti. And there's this montage, you get the Yetis, you get the Zygons, you get the companions, the doctor, the Brigadier. And suddenly the Brigadier remembers the doctor. And
which weren't exactly all pleasant memories, which is why he kind of shuddered and was like, "You just walked over my grave. Yeah. I forgot about that."
Well, not only that,
the horrors I've been through.
There was that section before where the Brigadier, he's questioning the Brigadier. He says, "No, I'm fit as a fiddle. I never go down. I keep working on workhorse."
He was very defensive as to his memory because he had a
trigger memory. Yeah,
he had a somewhat of a mental breakdown.
But it turns out, we find out later, that was only caused because he and his future, he touched and ejected all that energy and caused that problem.
or the Black Guardian caused it when he pulled in the TARDIS.
Black Guardian doesn't freaking care about the Brigadier.
Well, I mean, we're discussing the nature of
meeting.
his powers. Maybe he just had this passive cosmic effect to wipe the Brigadier's memory because it was not advantageous to the Doctor, which he was trying to foil.
Move forward the plot. Get us into at least episode 3. I'm gonna go get some ice.
Well, I don't know what happens. No,
you don't know what?
Just
You're the one taking notes.
I'm just kidding. All right, episode 2. So just after the Brigadier kind of, everything clicks, and he's like, oh, I remember, and he kind of shudders. He's like, oh, you just walked over my grave. It's because he had that very, some nice memories with the Doctor, a lot of traumatic memories with the Doctor. So it's quite shocking as that all kind of starts click back into place, and the Doctor's like, it's good to have you back, Brigadier. And the Brigadier is like, I still don't know you because you're not the same Doctor. But no, he doesn't say that because he's seen 2 regenerations. He's a very well-seasoned Doctor Who companion, so he knows what's going on, which plays into the plot later on because, let's see what happens. Blah, 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 blah. Powerful Black Guardian has bad influence over the minds. We talked about that. The Brigadier doesn't remember the Doctor, and we talked about was that the Black Guardian's influence. We found out later on that they kind of make the conclusion that it wasn't. It was to do with the, what do they call it? The time differential caused by, well, we'll talk about that more. Spoilers, what we've already spoiled. But the Brigadier shows up twice. Once, well, again, we'll talk about that later. It shows up in the plot. I really don't take good notes. I don't like when Hatter leaves me to talk about the episodes because I have I obviously don't have a great attention span. But we're kind of wondering, is the TARDIS linked to the Brigadier's amnesia? As it kind of showed up problematically, but we're really not sure at this point. So it goes on to. And we talked about the nature of the Black Guardian's powers. He's kind of influencing a few people around the area against the Doctor, like Turlough's trying to kill the Doctor. We didn't know if that's why the Brigadier didn't remember, but now that mental block's out of the way, and he remembers everything. And he starts to divulge information that he remembers from his past 6 years ago. And the Doctor is talking about, okay, you remember me. I've regenerated. I have these companions, Nyssa, and he goes, and Tegan, right? I remember Tegan. He's like, how did you meet Tegan? And it's because the Brigadier met Tegan 6 years ago in the past, because when that time thing happened, right, the Doctor and Turlough left the TARDIS and that little console exploded, and Nyssa and Tegan were still on the TARDIS. So that caused some sort of time interference where they were then sent back 6 years into the past. And they eventually go, well, we got to go find the Doctor. So they leave the TARDIS, and they run into the other Brigadier, and that's when Tegan explains to the Brigadier kind of what's going, what's happening. So once that mental barrier is broken, the 6-year senior Brigadier remembers everything, and he goes, oh yeah, no, Tegan, I know Tegan. And the Doctor's like, what? So they spend a few minutes dialoguing and catching each other up, after which we kind of stick with Tegan and Nyssa 6 years in the past with the younger Brigadier. And kind of like Inferno, when we have the 2 Brigadiers, they did the same trick to help you tell them apart, is that the Brigadier had a mustache. The younger Brigadier had a mustache, and the older Brigadier was clean-shaven, so you could tell which one was the past and which one was in the future. And Hatter pointed out that, they also did a few other tricks, like they colored his hair. So his hair started to go to gray over the years, and that's why you could tell the younger and the older part. Hey, we're just talking about how Nyssa and Tegan are now 6 years in the past with the old Brigadier. Well, the Doctor, the Doctor, Turlough, are both with the 6-year senior Brigadier in 1983.
Correct. June 7th, 1977, the Silver Jubilee of the Queen.
Explain to us how that 6-year leap year...
Because there was the elliptical warp drive effect that had a 6-year cycle.
And that was triggered by the little popcorn machine blowing up, or what sent them?
No, it's just the way that the ship in stabilized orbit worked around the orbit of the Earth, or whatever.
Yeah, so we're left with Turlough, the Doctor, and the future Brigadier, and then Tegan and Nissa are in the past.
Brigadier.
With the past Brigadier.
Right.
6-year younger one. And then we just talked about how they kind of all caught up. The Brigadier remembered, like, oh yeah, I remember you. And the Doctor's like, yeah, I regenerated, and my companions are Nissa. And the Brigadier's like, and Tegan, right?
He's like,
because he remembered.
I know Tegan.
Yeah, they met 6 years in the past, and then all that came rushing back into his
And
memory.
this does a stack of cards effect, much like Back to the Future 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Doctor catches on after the Brigadier catches him up, after the Doctor caught the Brigadier up, because the Brigadier says, yeah, I met Tegan, and he goes, oh, that's wait,
Tegan
no, that's
Javanka, the nice short girl with the Australian accent. Yeah.
He's like, that's terrible, and yada yada, 6-year eclipse, yada yada, you can't touch yourself. And the Brigadier's like, I'm offended by that, and he's like, no, you can't touch your past self, I mean.
Say that.
That's a joke from Mr. Peabody.
Yeah. So you got to the end of episode 2?
Yeah, just about. So we're coming up on the end of the episode 2. So what happens was they ran in. So Tegan and Nissa in the past go back into the TARDIS, and they see this random person who kind of looks like Hartnell. It looks like he grabbed either Hartnell's or Baker's old coat.
Baker's.
As he's trying to.
Season.
Yeah, this alien that's in the TARDIS now trying to operate it is trying to pose as the Doctor. So they walk in, they're like, you're not the Doctor. He's like, yes, I've regenerated, and I am the Doctor, and I'm also Emperor Palpatine now. He put on this kind of the Doctor's old coat to disguise himself as the regenerated Doctor.
No, he didn't.
But
they placed them on him to keep him warm.
Oh yeah, because he
the blanket and the coat and all that stuff.
He was all purple when they walked in on him.
Right, he looks like a big grapefruit or a big prune or something.
Yeah, so he wakes up and you see that he's not a regenerated Doctor. He has this exposed brain, and it looks like a bad comb over. And that reveal, end of episode 2. So in episode 3,
looks like Riff Raff.
Yes.
From like a picture show with extra tall with that brain showing. You know?
It looks like a bowl of spaghetti just plopped there on top, coming out of his skull cap. What'd you say? He took the phrase skull cap literally.
Yeah.
But
so episode 3,
that's when he starts to impersonate the Doctor. He grabs the coat.
Do you have any questions from episode 2?
Episode 2. We talked about the Black Guardian sucky mind influence. We talked about how the Brigadier doesn't remember and why that might be. We again discussed the nature of the Black Guardian's powers. And then, why does the other Time Lord regenerate differently? We find out that he's not actually a Time Lord.
Not a Time Lord, yeah.
So we're now on episode 3.
So it turns out he's Mawdryn. And
Undead
Mawdryn.
It's they said the name of the episode in the serial.
Yeah. Do you need another drink?
Yeah. Well, I better take a 2-episode intermission, or we might never finish
this.
Get
some more water then.
We might never finish this podcast. So go ahead, water.
You might not finish.
Go over episode 3. I'll be back for episode 4 to interrupt more. Okay.
So, Mawdryn, like I said, looks like Riff Raff from Rocky Horror Picture Show, except with his brain exposed and a bit taller. He's like, okay, I am the Doctor. And they're like, hey, don't know. Nissa's like, you have to give him the benefit of the doubt. Tegan's like, no, he's not the Doctor. The Brigadier's like, well, we should give the benefit of the doubt. And he says, we gotta go back to the ship. So they go back to the ship, and then he's like, well, I have to go out by myself. And they're like, no, you shouldn't go out by yourself. The Doctor should never go out by himself. You need help. We don't have the Zero Room any longer, so you need help. He's like, no, I have to go by myself. Finally, Nissa opens the door. He goes up by himself. And Tegan, to her benefit, was correct this entire time and not believing he was the Doctor. And she's like, I hope you know what you're doing, Nissa and Brigadier. Anyway, so Mawdryn claws his way, literally, like, pulling himself forward on the floor to a secret room. Says, I'm back, I'm finally back. So apparently he went down in 1977, finally comes back in 1983, 6 years later. And then he crawls his way around. what essentially happened on the spaceship is that you had these people who wanted to gain Time Lord immortality. They wanted to change themselves into Time Lords with regenerations and stuff. The problem is that it doesn't work. And so you figure they're humans or some other humanoid race, because they look like humans. But their experiments into stealing Time Lord technology and making themselves immortal meant that they were cursed to live forever. They couldn't die, but they were always degenerating into mutation and agony. So their infant lifespan would always bring them pain and suffering and just disgusting degeneration, like the brain being exposed and stuff like that. So eventually the Brigadier and Turlo on the little capsule make it up there, the other Brigadier. Finally, the older Brigadier goes out on a reconnaissance, or recce, to look around. Yeah. And Nyssa and Tegan stay on the TARDIS. So then you have the other Brigadier, along with Turlo, heading out from the capsule, and they're wandering around. And so there's this big problem with the two Brigadiers. If they ever touch, if they ever shake hands, big antipode, Armageddon, Flash, big bada boom will happen. See Southland Tales. When two souls occupy the same space or meet in the same space. Good movie, Southland Tales. Anyway, so Doctor's running around, bumps into the Mawdryn, who's awakened the other Mawdryns. Well, we don't know what to call them. We don't have a name for their race or for their people, so I guess Mawdryns will work. They kind of wake up. Turlo's wandering around looking for the Brigadier. And in one of the statues on the wall, he sees the face of the Black Guardian. The Black Guardian's like, yeah, I'm always with you. I will always be with you until you fulfill what I've told you to do. He's like, I'm going to strand the Doctor here, and he can't do anything, and I'll leave him in the TARDIS, and I'll go back to my homeworld. Isn't that enough? And the Black Guardian's like, no. This is why you don't make deals with the devil. So, Turlo, the Black Guardian's like, hold out your hand. Turlo holds out his hand, and he opens up the door to the room with the other 7 Mawdryns. They eventually wake up. Turlo runs. They come out, and you have the one Mawdryn and the Doctor meeting up in a room with this little scientific equipment. The Doctor's like, ooh, this is a regeneration module taken from the Time Lords, and it's been modified, but these people are trying to do what the Time Lords could do, and they're trying to do regenerations. It's like, So Mawdryn comes in, and then eventually, Mawdryn gets into one of these strap back, hold you down kind of capsules with a head deal and all that. And the Doctor's like, what do you want me to do? And he's like, well, this is our curse. The Doctor's like, well, you stole this technology. You were trying to make yourselves immortal. It's like, yes, but we're immortally degenerating, and it's horrible, and we're in pain and suffering. The Doctor's like, well, I can't help you. And then at that time, Tissa and Negan, Nyssa, Tegan, Brigadier come in, one of the Brigadiers, and like, okay. The Doctor's like, well, look, I cannot help you. He's like, well, you have to. You have to put your arms in there and help us. He's like, I can't. He's like, well, we'll keep suffering. And the Doctor's like, At that point, the other 7 of the Mawdryns come in, and occupy the other spaces. And they're sort of like, I can't help you. Like, you have to help us. I can't help you. You have to help us. And they're like, we just want to die. The doctor's like, well, I can't help you. All you have to do is put your arm in there. The doctor goes, if I do that, and Nissa and Tegan are like, why don't you do that? And he's like, if I do that, it'll be the end of me as a Time Lord. End of episode 3. Anyway. Episode 4, a little bit of recap. And then he goes, look, I'm number 5. I have 12 regenerations. I've used 4. Which means if I help them, that's 8 more generations. Which means I'll be at the end of myself as a Time Lord.
Are we at the part where Darth Vader shows up yet?
Darth Vader never shows up. What were you smoking during this podcast?
I used my recap break to call the pharmacy to see if my prescriptions were ready. And now I'm on a campaign to destigmatize mental health, like anxiety prescriptions. So I'm using our platform to talk about it. I thought I might as well,
Have I ever shown you the movie Shock Treatment?
Have what positive impact I can have over the 40 subscribers and 8 concurrent viewers we have to do something positive. No, I have not seen Shock Treatment, but that's the sequel of the one that I did see.
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yes,
I've shown you that one.
You did show me that one.
Okay, Shock Treatment is much, 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 much worse.
I think it has a better main track though. Ooh, Shock Treatment.
Jumping like a real live wire.
Yeah, I think that one's a little more catchy
the main. Well, no, Time Warp's still better, but
Time Warp's pretty good though. Excuse me. I have the hiccups.
Yes, drink some water, please.
I am. I think that's why I have the hiccups. You ever just forget how to swallow and you choke on like water or your own saliva?
Giggity.
What I do is I have this really bad habit of doing like the inhale sip. So I inhale when I'm sipping, and that's why I choke on my beverages all the time. I go. I inhale to help the liquid into my mouth when I'm sipping. And sometimes, or I just have a hole in my lip. It's hard to break the habit to where you don't inhale while you're sipping. You just let it kind of flow in there naturally.
Giggity.
So the reason I inhale is because I don't like backwash. So I'm trying to avoid backwash when I'm taking a sip. And that's why I built this habit of
slurping.
Slurping, yes, that's it. I have a bad slurping habit, and I just choke on my beverages. And I'll be on like a nice coffee date with a pretty young lady, and then I'll start choking on my chai tea. And she goes, are you okay?
You okay, old man? Let me pat you on the back.
They'll think I'm special. Like, do you know how to eat and drink okay? do you want me to cut up your sandwich for you? I'm so embarrassed every time.
Alright, don't be embarrassed.
My ex-fiance used to always just berate me about my hiccuping. She'd be like, just stop hiccuping. I'm like, I wish I could.
Hiccups are the worst.
Mine are chronic.
They're slightly less worse than ex-fiancés.
Yeah, slightly. Yeah. Well, I mean, if I hold my breath long enough, they both go away.
Oh, that was wonderfully bad. I like that.
We're having a fight. Just do the pouting strategy of, then your face turns red, and they're like, okay. You ever have a child do that to you? They pout and
no, just spank them.
Yeah, my niece, she's going to school, so she's making some new friends. They're giving her some new tips on how to pout, be a more effective pouter. So she's really stuck in the pouting phase, and she'll.
How old is she?
She is 5.
Okay, sounds like a bad idea.
I think she's 5. I should probably know how old my niece is. I only have the one niece, and I still can't remember her birthday.
Okay.
I'm a pretty bad uncle. Do you know my uncle name in Chinese? My niece is half Chinese. It's Jojo. And there's this anime called JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. So every time she sees me, I think of the TV show because she goes, "Oh, Jojo!" And it sounds like the anime.
She's half Chinese.
She's half Chinese.
I'll teach you some Chinese so you can
Yeah,
talk.
I have a note from some Chinese that you gave me. I think it's on my old phone.
I think so.
But you're giving me like Chinese phrases and are writing them down. My favorite is 我爱你, which means I love you. So I always tell my niece 我爱你, and she goes 我爱你 Jojo.
That's cute.
It is. She's the cutest.
Really cute.
Have you ever met her? She's so cute.
I don't think so.
You gotta meet my niece. She's the best.
Alright.
Episode 4.
Yeah, so anyway.
Did we finish episode 3?
Yes.
I have questions.
What questions?
What is the Linovich effect, the zap, if you will, when two...
The Linovich effect says that two things cannot occupy the same space at the same time.
But they're not two things, they're two different times. So this doesn't
I'm going back to Southland Tales. Okay?
Southland Tales. That's
Have you seen that?
a horrible movie.
You didn't like it?
I did. No, I don't like any of the depressing movies you show me.
It's not depressing.
They're depressing. I just went and watched a very depressing movie called Sound of Freedom.
So good. I saw it. It's amazing.
That one is worth watching.
Amazing.
Because though depressing, it is a necessary movie.
Bring handkerchiefs.
Southland Tales was depressing and not a necessary message. It was just depressing for the sake of dark and depressing.
Anyway, Southland Tales is good. Sound of Fury, much better.
Sound of Freedom.
Sound of Freedom, much better.
Fury was also a very good movie. Very different movie.
Okay. Anyway,
or Furry. Is it the tank movie? It's called Furry. Fury.
No, Fury.
Might be Furry.
Want to hurt you.
I really can't do the straight face sarcasm thing. I'm gonna work on this on camera persona.
No,
I think
you don't
it'd be
need a persona. Just be you.
I think
it'd
be really funny though. I'm gonna ask you questions like Hemingway. They're just going to also be very sarcastic.
Okay. Anyway, so where the hell were
Have we yet been introduced to our villain, Mawdryn? Yeah, I can't get a straight face.
Because you shouldn't, because you're not villain Mawdryn.
Mawdryn. Have we met Mawdryn yet?
Yes, we have. Okay,
2 and 3. Oh, my questions for episode 3. That's right. Linovich effect. Two objects cannot occupy the same space unless they're Time Lords, apparently. But does this stay concurrent with all modern Doctor Who? Do we never have companions going back in time touching each other? Or is this just something that they kind of forgot about as newer episodes?
Mostly no.
Mostly no.
Mostly no.
So they mostly stick to it, but sometimes...
Correct.
Do they have an explanation as to why the...
If possible, yeah.
Maybe. Probably not.
Right, so, what else do you have?
Alright, why Time Lords and other time mirror... Oh, okay, we talked about Time Lords aren't affected by it. We also probably discussed at this point how Mawdryn is regenerating, but is not actually a Time Lord.
But mostly degenerating, yeah.
But he's trying to... So how
he's just trying to die.
How do they begin... Have they always been able to regenerate? Is that something that they got from the Time Lords, that technology? Did they discuss
These people, whomever the hell they are, only were able to regenerate thanks to stolen Time Lord technology, but they don't actually regenerate so much as degenerate.
Because they wanted immortality.
Well, they got it.
They said yes, so they stole the technology to regenerate, but it's actually a curse because they didn't have the full process of regeneration.
Right, they're missing some capsule, yeah.
Stably. And so they petitioned the Time Lords, hey, we're already trying to regenerate for the betterment of our species. Now we're also degenerating. Can we have the rest of this technology? And the Time Lord said, no. You get to live in misery. That's your punishment for trying to be as good as we are as Time Lords. So the Time Lords don't share their regenerating technology.
Well, yeah, they're pretty much dicks.
Yes. That was my point. Which I think I would argue that Doctor is also a Richard Dixon. What was it?
Alright, so anyway.
Did we talk about... is that episode 4 or episode 3 where they say, hey Doctor, we need the technology to regenerate? And he says no, right?
That's 3, yeah.
So we've talked about that.
Yeah.
Why does he say no when I ask for his help?
Because it would suck out the rest of his life.
Or he could have just given him the technology to fully regenerate, but he wouldn't do that either.
He doesn't have that.
He doesn't have that technology?
Not at the moment, no.
He uses that technology. It's his TARDIS, right?
Maybe. I don't know if it's in the TARDIS. This is a different device.
He regenerates, and he's talked in the past about how he needs the TARDIS when he regenerates to stabilize, kind of. So that technology, he could help them regenerate in his TARDIS. But at this point, that's not even what they want. They only want the power. Yeah, they want to end their misery and suffering because the Time Lords wouldn't share with them the full process. So they're like,
right,
let's just have
marriage, you know?
Let's just have it over with at this point. It's more of a curse than a betterment for our society. We tried to regenerate. It didn't work. Now we're being tortured. Please help us die. And the doctor's like, also, no. Why is he so unempathetic to these alien race? He's very much like a Time Lord.
Because they want him to give up 8 lifetimes so they can die.
Or he could find some other way to help them die peacefully without... He has technology. He could.
But it's so unlikely.
Come up with an painful way to help them not regenerate anymore. Wouldn't you assume that he would have access to that technology to end their suffering? Yet he approaches it unempathetically, saying, "This is the consequence of your actions. You shouldn't have stolen the technology to help your species to begin with, because that's Time Lord technology. You don't get
people, but yeah."
Yeah.
Drink more.
It just seems like the doctor's being very unempathetic to this in-pain species
people will say,
race.
Kill yourself 8 times to save us. I mean, why the hell would you do that?
No, it's like a Time Lord has...
No, it's exactly what they're doing.
No, it's like a Time Lord has 16 kidneys, right? And someone's going through dialysis, and they're like, I will die without one of your kidneys. And the doctor's like, my life is that of 12 times of yours more valuable. You can't have any of my multiple kidneys.
8 kidneys. And they say, we want each one of your kidneys, you know?
Or he could be like, hey, I have technology, Time Lord technology. I can help you end your regeneration without suffering. Like, we could probably figure that out. He doesn't have that conversation. He just goes, nope, you're screwed. You deserve this. Which I feel is kind of heartless.
Not exactly. Anyway.
I just feel like if it was one of his companions, he'd be like, I will give you one of my kidneys so you can end your suffering. But he has less empathy.
Not a kidney, drug regeneration.
1/12 of my life force to end the suffering of a companion. The doctor's sacrificed your regeneration for companions. Not yet, but he will in the future. So why does he not feel the same about these aliens? Because they're not his companions? He doesn't have favoritism for them?
Yes. Like, would I give a kidney up for my brother? Yeah. Would I give a kidney up for some random dude in Tennessee that I don't know?
But you would still be empathetic. This dude in Tennessee would be like, we're a perfect match. And he'd be like, no, sorry.
No.
You wouldn't be like,
give it up for my brother. I will not give it up for some random dude.
You'd still be empathetic. You wouldn't be like, you deserve this. You'd be like, I'm sorry, I can't give you my kidney, but we can make your passing less painful. You know, they have medicine for that. You wouldn't just be like, you deserve this. He's like, I had a kidney cancer. I tried stealing some Time Lord technology to cure myself. It didn't work. Now I just want to be out of my suffering. You'd be like, yeah, I'll help you with that. You wouldn't be like, you deserve this.
Yeah, don't listen to him.
No, that's exactly what the doctor's doing. The doctor's a jerk, and so are all Time Lords. That's my conclusion from this episode. Serial.
Hard to argue with that. Anyway.
I feel like the doctor's exhibited a lot of behaviors that...
Anyway, so...
He's not a good person. He does a lot of self...
Episode 4. The doctor tries to leave the space station with Tegan and Nyssa. Yes. He goes one direction and they're getting super old. So he comes back. He goes the other direction and they're getting super young. So he goes back. He's like, okay. They've been infected by the stuff on the station.
It's pretty gross.
Yeah.
Which I feel like they were trying to warn him, but he kind of just left in a hurry. They're like, let's talk about this regeneration thing and how you can help us. And I'm sure they're about to tell him, like, hey, these guys might be infected. And he was just like, bye. He left. And not only did he not help them out, he also endangered his companions by just, like, running off.
Not quite as bad, but yeah. So he comes back, and he realizes Nissa and Tegan are infected, and they go ahead and they get all of the Mawdryn, for lack of any better name, into their circle of 8. And they tie in between them Nissa and Tegan and the Doctor.
You know what? It does say what the Mawdryn's race is. Do you remember?
No, obviously not.
I've said it a few times.
I don't freaking care.
I'm pretty sure it's Mandarin.
Or it's not Mandarin.
It's Mawdryn. What is the name of the race? Mawdryn was a margarine, along with this other margarine people. I'm sorry. Episode 4.
So
travels back in time.
The Doctor goes in and decides to hook up with him, link up with him, and sacrifice himself to save Nissa and Tegan.
I can see your patience like evaporating in real time with me. I saw that at that point.
Yes.
To where you're just done with.
I'm done. I'm good. I'm done. Yeah.
All right.
So Nissa and Tegan, and to save them and to save these other people, at the exact same time, the old Brigadier, 1983 Brigadier, is pulling the switch, and we're counting down, and then the 1977 Brigadier, despite Turlough's best efforts, walks into the room, says, "Who are you?" And the old Brigadier goes, "Who are you?" And they
were previously warned, you cannot touch your past self.
Well,
their first reaction after going, "Who are you?" is, "Let's touch." It's just no regard for the warning that they're given. They're just like, "Oh."
There's an explosion, a Deus Ex Machina.
They invert the color filter on the camera, so you know that reversing the polarity is happening.
Yeah, reversing.
Which did happen. Which actually
happened twice in this serial.
Yes, it actually served to was it malfunction or mis-circuit the machine to where the Doctor's regenerations were spared, and instead the TARDIS fed the energy to help them in their regeneration cycle of torture.
The point
is that, did I have that right?
Kinda.
What happened exactly?
Okay, so the Brigadier's touch, there's an explosion. Because they touched, the explosion fed the energy necessary.
That's what she said.
To kill off all 8 of the Mawdryns. Yay, they died. They wanted to die. Great. 8 deaths in serial.
It's a happy ending.
The Brigadiers were knocked out. The old one's taken to his old place. The new one's taken to his new place. The Doctor, Romana, Doctor, Nissa, and Tegan go back to TARDIS.
Or would you call her? Tissan? Negan?
Nissa and Tegan
Negan
go back to the TARDIS. And Turlough's there. And the Doctor's like, "Wait a minute, what are you doing here?" And Turlough's like, "Well, can I travel with you?" And I was like, "Okay." Nissa and Tegan are like, looking at each other like, "Oh, great." And that's the end of the serial.
The end.
Yay.
Please join us.
Wait, what questions do you have for episode 4?
I have a few conclusions.
Yes.
Turlough is a lame companion. Mostly because his name is Turlough, which... I don't know. I don't like that name. What did you say it was short for? Teolophus? Teolophysis? Oh, that was Hippo's name was
for short, yeah.
Yeah.
His name is Turlough.
Hippopotamus is what it's short for.
Nah, his name is Turlough.
Right. Ibbotson's nickname was Hippo.
I thought it might have been Hippocrates.
You thought it might have been short for something, and you were right. It was short for hippopotamus. Is what it was short for. So Turlough is a lame companion so far. We'll see if he redeems himself. Also,
he might.
The Black Guardian, for the most powerful, one of the most powerful beings in the cosmos, makes for a pretty poor villain because in his attempts to sow chaos and destroy the Doctor, He kind of just helped the Doctor to his job, which was introducing him to some people in need, and then he helped them out. Oh yeah, we gotta rewrite Mawdryn there. Mawdryn. So, right, he introduces these villains, which is this alien race that are supposed to blackmail the Doctor into him losing his regenerations, but what really happens is the Black Guardian just kind of introduces the Doctor to this alien race that needs his help, and so he didn't really do much there. So Turlough's lame, the Black Guardians are lame, the Mandarins were kind of a lame villain, but it's still a very enjoyable episode.
Serial.
We've now, you said we did in the past, but we've now at least re-established the canonicity of the 12 regeneration limit, and he's been through 4 so far, which cements Hartnell as the first one, meaning he wasn't a regeneration, he's the original.
Right.
And that's when the regeneration started. And we've had 4 so far, because we're now on the 5th Doctor.
Yep.
12 total. So that's
12 regenerations, 13 Doctors.
And of course that's going to change later, because 12 was... They wanted to make more money after the first 12 Doctors, so they added more. At least 12 more so far,
yes.
but we'll probably end up being indefinitely unlimited. We talked about how the Time Lords are kind of jerks about sharing their society benefiting technology.
Yes.
It's all caught up in bureaucracy. We also talked about how the Doctor was affected by being raised among Time Lords, and he kind of has that same mindset where he wasn't very empathetic, and he was more of, my life is 12 times more valuable than yours. And his companions agreed with them. They're like, that's murder 12 times over, but not really. I think the Doctor could have been more empathetic. I think the Time Lords are a little racist against other alien races.
Yes, they are actually. Yeah.
They're obviously consider themselves the keepers of the peace for the galaxy, right?
Yes.
They're kind of hot-headed, right?
Yes.
A little prideful with their technology.
Yes.
Which was also stolen, by the way. They're like, you can't steal our technology. We stole it. It's our stolen technology.
Stolen from whom?
The Timeless Child.
We
agree that the Time Lords, they didn't create their own technology. They used the first 3, right? They used Omega, what's-his-face, and the third one, the other one. And they harnessed and stole other technologies. Like, they stole their power source from this black hole, and they stole regeneration technology.
Okay, so Omega Rassilon
and the other one. Is it the third one or the other one is what they call him?
The other one.
And we meet the other one at some point, do we? Or that was never revealed?
Not yet.
Not yet, it might be. That's exciting. Black Guardian kind of sucked at doing anything. But actually the Black Guardian's plan failed only because of the Doctor's lack of empathy. But then it almost succeeded anyway because of his empathy for his companions, but then failed again because the Brigadier touched himself. Is that a pretty good synopsis, or?
It's a really bad.
Does that kind of sum up what happened?
It's a really bad synopsis, actually.
Right. So the last question is, why didn't the Doctor just suggest using the TARDIS in the first place as an energy source for helping them end their suffering? Because it would be very difficult to do, apparently. I think he could have found a way. Because what was the time scale? Infinite? It's like, I will end your suffering, but let's do it where I don't end myself.
Well,
I would probably agree to
there was a
that.
phase here, there was a phase there. They were in 2 time zones.
Turlough is probably still affected by the Black Guardian, now that he's a companion.
Yes, and he's still on Yonk.
End of episode 4, boom, we finally had an on-screen death. I thought we were going to go...
We have 8.
We had a few on-screen deaths, and literally the very last scene of the serial, which means I thought we were going to go 4 episodes with the Black Guardian as the villain and not have a single death. But no, he made up for lost time. Killed 8 people on screen at the very... That was more the Doctor that killed them, kind of.
No.
Because he's ending their suffering, and their suffering ended up
Only
being
one
ended.
died, but he left, but they died of their own accord.
But he was going to help them end the suffering. So either way, those 8 deaths were more the doctors than the Black Guardians, because the Black Guardian didn't want them to die.
Correct.
He wanted the doctor to die.
Correct.
So the doctor's more of a villain in this serial.
No, not
All right.
at all.
That's all my questions. Anything else to add? Any Doctor Who news for the week?
No. Actually, no news.
No news.
We'll see you next week.
No.
Okay, we're here.
No news is good news. We're catching up to
There,
the
and
other
we're
watch
catching
group.
up to the main group. Oh, we are so close. 2 seasons away.
If we catch up and pass the main group, does that make us the main group? Do we get? Are they the secondary?
Not exactly, but it does mean we can do whatever the hell we want to do, which is good.
We get a
Yes.
promotion.
Alright, so see you next week.
Yes, please join us.
Yay.
Please join us next week for the penultimate episode, Enlightenment. But don't forget to also join us next week for the anti-penultimate episode, Terminus. We'll see you next week and the week after as we sum up.
See you next week, Terminus, the week after.
As we sum up this season, this month of July. How exciting is that? Sing our outro theme, Hatter.
Bye-bye.
Beep, boop.
Bye-bye.